Today is the friggin' hell, 14th of January. The 14th of January. The time, it's almost 4:30, and I'm walking Tuco. What I wanted to talk about today was I've been going through my red notebook which began in '89, and it really is mainly about after the Drama Centre years, the beginning of my time in Sutherland Avenue, and there's a few entries from '89 onward. And I know yesterday I was saying, isn't it amazing how such a small few years had such a big impact and never went away. But today I was saying, what could you do differently if you could go back? This is a favorite. We're going to go in here, Tuco. Yeah, let's go in here. Thought exercise of mine. If you could go back, I find it very comforting or something to think of how you could correct mistakes. And I thought if I could go back, I would firstly do a better job of the Stags and Hens play that I was in. Instead of acting like a prick, I'd try and actually maybe create a character who had some kind of depth. The character I was playing, instead of just showing off on the stage. Maybe this time, allez, Tuco, we're going to go down this way. Maybe this time I'd try and give him some vulnerability. Try and make him a nice character. Try and show the audience that he's actually just showing off to the guy and that he's actually full of insecurities. He's not the Fonz, you know. And just to get the audience to feel something for him. I don't know. And not be so bad to that teacher. But secondly, most importantly, I'd probably do the Drama Centre audition. It'd be great to see everybody again. And this time I'd pick another piece, something filled with kind of passion. Something where the character gets angry. An interrogation piece, or maybe I'd write my own piece. Could actually do that. Nobody knows plays and things. I could write my own piece. Fuck it. You had to learn a piece as well, but I'm sure I could just write my own piece. Yeah, who wouldn't give a shit? Because I would have no intention of accepting this place anyway. That's the thing I was saying to myself. If I could go back and do it all again, there are lots of things where you could do the thing again and it would be much better. If I was working in Our Price Music again and all these girls were going in and going out, I may be a little more comfortable in my skin to ask more people out to have a better time, you know, although I did enjoy that job quite a bit. But I realised if I could go back to Drama Centre, it would make no difference. It would be one of these weird situations where I would still be just useless there. I still would not be able to function at Drama Centre. Just no way. So it wouldn't matter going back. That would be the one instant where it would be exactly the same. I wouldn't be able to remember the speeches. I wouldn't be able to say the lines. I wouldn't know how to dress up for parts. I would still be as mystified as to what Christopher Fettis was talking about. I still to this day have no idea what Yat was on about half the time. So no, I would not, definitely, if I had the choice again, I wouldn't be going there. In fact, I wouldn't be going anywhere because it's all too expensive and I had no money, and I would never ever ask my mother for that kind of money if I had a chance again. And if I wanted to get involved in acting, I'd try and do it another way, but I would have some kind of a full-time job in the many either record shops or video shops or whatever. They'd be fine. I'd be fine doing that. And then I'd probably look maybe for some further education thing, and knowing what was to come, I'd probably get involved in AI, and I'd try and go down that road perhaps. And I wouldn't have that time in Sutherland Avenue would never happen. The situation with Claudia would have been much different. We would have broke up at the time we broke up, maybe even before. And we would have stayed good friends, and I wouldn't have been such an idiot, really, reading back. There's one entry where I say, I don't understand this. I went to see Claudia and I told her I may be getting my cheque for 800 sterling soon, and if she's not happy with her neighbours, we could maybe move in together again, her and me. And she just said, let's see what happens. And I couldn't understand why, after making such an offer, how could she refuse me? And then another time I went there and she wouldn't let me stay the night, because she said she had to get up early. And how could she do this to me? It's kind of amazing how you want to say immature, but the real word is kind of stupid. I behaved. The fact that I expect her to allow me to spend the night, and the fact that, I need her to come clean and see what's the story with her, when we're not even together anymore. She's with somebody else. I don't know what I was thinking. It's like I thought we were together, but she was seeing somebody else as well, and that's kind of okay. Really, I would have just been a good friend. If you could go back to redo some of the things somehow, to be a better person, or a more successful person. Of course, I've watched enough science fiction to realize that you'd be amazed at the things that could happen, that could make your life go even in a worse direction, even with the knowledge of what's past and trying to change things. But reading that thing, and considering, I don't know what the figure was, but the money that was paid for those 2 years by my mother, and the waste, really, because it's, even if you could say, well, at least at the end of the 2 years you got this qualification, you got this education, you made these contacts which were responsible for you getting this job or that training or whatever. But unfortunately, for all intent and purpose, it was just a complete waste of money. I got nothing out of it at the end of the day. To this day, I haven't really got anything out of it. You could say, well, you were introduced to Nietzsche, but I have a feeling that would have happened at some point anyway. And what else is there to take from it? I didn't kind of develop a huge love for all these obscure plays and things that we were involved in. I didn't develop any interest whatsoever in theatre, to be honest. To this day, I have none. I wanted to be an actor in the vein of Clint Eastwood. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be your average every American actor that co-stars and stuff. and says lines to the lead man which are straightforward, and you don't need to rack your brains to try and find out what the fuck am I doing in this scene. That's the kind of actor I wanted to be. I wanted somebody to come up to me, the lead, and say, you know, he comes up to me in a bar or something and he says, so I heard you were once an acquaintance of this John Casey that we're searching for. And I'd say, well, I wouldn't exactly say it was an acquaintance, but yeah, we spent 2 years together, blah, blah, blah. And I'd have my little monologue to describe the character. And then the guy'd say, do you have any idea where he is now? And I'd say, I don't know, but you might check with a lady called Linda Hambleton, because he was last mixed up with her when we parted company. And that would be it. That would be my part. I didn't want to get involved in fucking Molière or Seneca tragedies. God help us. Trying to do the Symposium. Trying to do Greek tragedies. And, you know, as if that wasn't the worst of the worst thing, you have the mystery plays. Fuck. Brutal. I picked the one thing that had absolutely nothing to do with film. I don't think film was even mentioned. Anyway. It's interesting reading back. Because it is like almost reading someone else's story. But then you have these little memories, these little kind of moments of clarity when you remember the feeling you had at some point, or you remember looking at something, or the sensation of being in a room, and then you realize that was me. I was there. It was me. Just like it's me now, looking through these eyes and talking and walking. I was that person back in those early 90s. And even though it's me, and yet it somehow seems alien when I read the words and I think of the situation I was in. I seem a stranger to myself, my younger self. Seems like an odd, I'm a kind of sad little man, really. There's a fair amount of people would probably say I'm not much different now. I don't know, maybe the lesson is you have to judge yourself under your own criteria, not go to judge yourself by other people's standards or by the convention, or, you know, oh my God, you're 27. At that age, you should have been doing a good job, building your career, starting your pension fund, settling down with a woman, considering married couple life, and progressing in the company. That's the way it goes for a lot of people. Not for me. It's also worth saying there's a lot of other people that did worse. There must be some people somewhere that got into that kind of rut, maybe at the same age as me, and never really got out of it. It's easy enough to imagine someone in my age now who's still kind of roaming around and living in these places. Still depending on handouts and housing benefits. Still living in a room, you know, and walking around the parks in London and... yeah. Stop, Tuco. I should sign off, because I'm going to bring Tuco to the road. Just a short one, 14 minutes. Well, today has been an eventful day. It is the 20th of January. At 4 o'clock, I'm bringing Tuco out, and I had an audition. I had a job interview this morning at 10 o'clock in the lingerie place in on the way to Manosque, across from Leclerc and Cumferama. And I had a very nice meeting with this lady. I think I got on very well, and I may actually have a job, which I'd be delighted to have. I think I'd get over the embarrassment or whatnot just for the sake of having, I think it could be around 1,400 euros a month. I'd take that right now. So that was great. It went better than I thought. I was a bit nervous going, because with me anything could happen. It would have been possible that I would have missed the place completely. But it went very smooth. Then on the way home I went to Ocean, and I wanted to buy a cassette, kind of a new cassette boombox thing. But it was too expensive, 59, so I left it. But then when I got home I realised they had a cheaper one in Leclerc, so I drove all the way back to Leclerc. This is about a half-hour drive every time. And in Leclerc I picked up one called Move, which is, to be honest, they all look a little bit the same, even the same as the Iowa one I got last year. Then I drove all the way home and I put a tape in it, and the tape chewed up immediately. And so in a state of agitation, but I'm also a little bewildered by cassette recorders now, because I just, besides my trusty 3 ones, the 2 Panasonics I have and the 1 Philips, they are my 3 friends. Otherwise, everything I touch seems to just not work in terms of cassettes. I lost the 2 decks this week, one after the other, just wouldn't work. And then this one. So I went all the way back to get a refund. Ended up having an argument with the guy because of my French, I think, really. I had a breakdown of communication. And I got annoyed because on a few occasions the guy was kind of asking me what was the problem with the machine. Was it something to do with the forward? And maybe he just didn't understand what a cassette player is, because he was quite young. But when you bring back something and there's all this tape stuck in the machine, it seemed kind of obvious what the problem was anyway. I got my 52 euro refund, and I went to Ocean, where I bought the 59 euro one, because I thought I've got to come back with something. And anyway, the good thing about these is that you will get your money back. The only thing you're going to lose is probably a couple of tapes. So it was quite nice to switch on this Philips device and just think, so nice to just press a button and feel confident that it'll work. Tuco. Ale, come on. And this device, it's nice. You just press a button. It's simple. No surprises. So that nearly drove me. I've got the one from Ocean. It's an Olive kind of brand. But again, it looks like the other one. They all look the same. So I won't be too surprised. I'll be disappointed if it doesn't work. I don't think it will. I have a feeling it's not even 50-50. I'd say it's 60 or 70-30. If I could just get it to work and use the auxiliary input and then record something from my phone, so that I'd have some kind of a stereo recording. That's really what I want. Because at the moment I can't record in stereo. The boombox I bought, which is Philips as well, that's kind of, the tape is not working great, and you can't record through an auxiliary output in that, so you can only really record the radio and the CD. To go. Tuco! What's he doing? There's a man and another dog following us. I don't want him to catch up to us. Tuco! Allez! Allez! Quick! Tuco! Allez, allez! Look at me, stupid dog. Yeah, so great news this morning. And then, so annoying with these cassettes. There will come a time when I'm going to have to just close the door on this and say, fuck it, that's it. I have a machine, it records very nicely. It's not stereo, but it's a really fine recording. And it works so far. Maybe at some point it'll run into difficulty. And then just be happy with that. And also I've got a really nice Walkman that I really like the sound of it. It works very well. Maybe I just accept what I've got. It's annoying because there's so many of these things around. There's like a million hi-fi systems, tape decks. There's a guy in Forcalquier was going to sell one for €10, but I couldn't get to Forcalquier to pick it up. Maybe some other day. And then I got some speakers from Le Bon Quoi, some little Pioneer speakers, and I was looking at how you fix those, but you need something to fix them too. So it's a kind of an obsession that I just haven't really, well, I don't exactly know the definition of obsession, but I haven't satisfied myself with these things. I've got speakers now I can't use. It's kind of stupid, really. It really is. But other than that, what a good day for interviews and job things. And lots of driving. Am I hearing the cows nearby? Because they shouldn't be here. They're making a lot of noise. I hope somebody is keeping an eye on them. I hate to see any animals in any difficulty. Allez! Tuco, allez! Tuco! Ici! Ici! Is there anything else to say? Mind has gone blank. So I'm going to go home and then slowly see if my new cassette thing is going to work or not. And try not to be too discouraged if it fails. Allez, Tuco, we're going to go back. We're going to go back on the riverbed. Try not to get anything stuck to you. Shit, I forgot about that. It's not the best time to come here, is it? Allez, up. Let's go this way. It would be a surprise, to say the least, if I end up having a job by the end of the month. That's not something I would have predicted. I don't know how this job would go, but it does seem doable. And the woman seemed Well, she seemed to have a confidence in me. You know, even in spite of my lack of French, she seemed okay. But I mean, who knows? I may have read the whole situation wrong. It's very possible she could send me a letter saying thanks, but no thanks. But I wouldn't mind getting myself some proper wages. Also, I forgot to mention about the whole crypto business. I did something yesterday that I probably shouldn't have done. I woke up yesterday morning and I went onto the crypto page of the prices, and I noticed that there was this new Donald Trump, official Trump crypto coin that was going through the roof. It was up nearly like 200%. It had gone from, I don't know, 10 euros to 50 euros, and of course I wanted to get a hold of some, and then I couldn't, because you'd have to go through all the rigmarole of joining I don't know how many things to try and find a way of getting it, and so I almost stopped. But then I heard the news that Binance have just started stocking this thing, and so I went on my Binance account and I exchanged all my Theta, which was about 700 euros, into the Trump coin. And then I exchanged 70 euros worth of Ethereum, and I wanted to bring the total up to 1,000, so I downloaded, or I sent from my N26 another 200 euros, and I got myself around 1,100, let's say, of this Trump coin, expecting it just to keep rising, because he's been he's been made president today. Can I pronounce that word? I can hear it in my head, but I can't fucking say it. Yeah, but as has happened so many times, the fucking thing dropped. It dropped from 70 down to 50, and now it's down to 40 something. So my 1,100 is probably a little over 700 or something at the moment. I fucking hate that. I do it all the time. I did it with Coinbase, I did it with Solana, we did it with Dogecoin, we did it with Shiba. Every time something is on a roll, I always jump in just that little bit too fucking late. And I'm having the same problem with this thing. Now, I got my friend coming with his dog. I should pause for a moment. There's a man, he's walking his little black dog, smaller than Tuco. And he's like me, you can just tell. Nervous as fuck. The two dogs get together, there's just air, it's like a cloud of apprehension generated by the two of us, as we're kind of looking at these two dogs sniffing, and we're both kind of saying a little prayer, saying, oh Jesus, don't turn on each other. We're not, everybody's not like Flo, I suppose. I don't know if I should take some comfort in that, so that I'm not the only one with the anxious problem, you know. I sometimes wish I had a little bit more of Flo's faculty to be able to just let Tuco fly out, and no lead, no harness, nothing, just off he goes. And she's positively joyful when she sees people and dogs in the distance. Me, I guess the opposite. It's a strange thing, because I worry about Tuco, and it's just awful, the thought of anything happening to him. And somehow that seems like in some book that would be a kind of a quality, empathic person, cares for animals, hates to see any misfortune fall, and genuinely hates to see it. Like, I saw a dog on TikTok. I didn't mean to see this, I just kind of flicked on it, and there was a dog on a roof, and I kept watching too long, and he jumped off, and it was like about 2 or 3 stories up. And when he landed, it was obviously he was going to hurt himself, and he limped off, and he must have just broke more than a couple of things. I felt so sad for him. I felt so sad thinking that that dog is probably still around somewhere, perhaps, maybe in discomfort. I just hate it. But you would be a far healthier person if you didn't have that type of, I use the word faculty again. You'd really have a much better time if you didn't care so much about these things. If you could just be like, well, I was like that when I was younger, when I was an adolescent, when I was a teenager, young man. I didn't have that kind of empathy. Things could happen and I wouldn't be awake at night thinking about them, Even when my dog, back in Springfield, Ricky, got injured, I just don't think it bothered me anywhere near as much as it would now. And then we had him put down and it didn't bother me in the least. I buried him afterward, and again it was just... So these things, there's a sense they're kind of an advancement. If everybody was so deeply feeling about other people, if you had that sense of being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes in an in-depth way, and in such a way that you really wouldn't want bad things to happen, because you can imagine it yourself. If everybody was like that, maybe the world would be better. People wouldn't be making TikTok videos where they laugh at people's misfortunes or people falling down or whatever. Maybe there wouldn't be the same treatment of animals, and our eating habits would change, or even maybe there'd be just a way of getting rid of the anxiety in farm animals, and maybe a much more humane way of finishing an animal's life instead of the way it is at the moment, which I wouldn't really want to think about. But something like a painless type of food that just puts the animal into a pleasant sleep. But I guess it's the process, isn't it? It's all money. The animals all have to go to the place where they're going to be made into steaks. It's terrible, but it's a chain. You can't kind of mercifully knock out your cows in the middle of your farm, because then how the fuck would you move things? It costs you a fortune. You'd have to have a crane. Everything has to be done in a specific way. But anyway, to cut to the chase, I sometimes wish I didn't care about things so much. I wish I could be just let Tuco fly off in front of me. There's dogs coming, it's fine, And if he gets attacked and eaten and killed, it's like, it won't be that pleasant, but it won't bother me too much. I'll get over it in a day or two. I wish I was kind of like that. But I'm not. The thoughts of what could happen, it's the kind of things keep me awake at night. Boy, what's this, 19? Let's stop at 20 minutes, huh? So, I wanted to summarize. So, the important thing was to say what happened today. Could be a very important interview. That's actually the most important thing. That's got the potential to have a big effect in the future on my state. The idea of having a job. We'll see. Adios. The 21st of January. Tuesday. Tuesday, the 21st of January, 4 o'clock. Now, I think I did an input yesterday, didn't I? For I told you I went down to near Manosque to do an interview for a job, which I may have got. It would be great to start a job and become comfortable in it and earn some money. But I did a lot of return trips yesterday to try and get a little cheap cassette / CD / radio thing that would work. And the one I got in Ocean, well, that seems to be working okay. I'm recording at the moment. And I've just, with the help from Flo, I've done a letter for Pearl Almond for a job. And I've sorted out all the numerous job applications that came through to my email that weren't really suitable. I drove McManley this morning. He gave me €70 for the week because I'm going to drive him Friday as well, and I've got Dr. Merite on Thursday. And I was saying to myself, it's been a very nice January. We're already into the last week, really. Today is the 21st. And I was thinking for Flo, it's been a great month compared to other Januaries where she's depressed because we're starting a new year in the Connemara, but not this time. And I feel good as well. I told Flo about my bad decision to invest in some Trump crypto. And it's funny, she was more annoyed about the moral implications about giving money to Trump as if he needed it, rather than the fact that the price dropped by half basically in the last day. It was yet another bad fucking decision. She said I shouldn't trust my instincts on these things, and I couldn't really argue with her there. I think I have to be careful next time something like that happens and I think, no, this is an absolute surefire winner. I had the same feeling on all that crap stuff I invested in the Gate site, the race, the sand, the OCS, all these games that were going to come along using the blockchains, and they were going to become as big as, you know, whatever, Grand Theft Auto, and millions of people would be joining them, and none of that materialized at all. Each of those, there was only 4 of them, and luckily I think it was enough. I think it could have been 4, it could have been €600 even, and it literally sank down to the whole thing worth about 80 euros. So it's possible I lost €560 on that stupid thing, which when I invested I was absolutely sure. The only thing I should do from now on is if I want to invest in something, stick with the things I'm with. You know, give it to ADA, give it to Ethereum, or the Binance even is okay, or the Bitcoin. They seem to be solid, stable things. They're not going away. And then forget about everything else, especially if you're seeing something that's rising by 500%. It's going from $2 to $102 in half an hour. Don't fucking go near it. But because I said it to Flo, I feel kind of better for sharing that and admitting it was a bad decision. What else? Well, I'll let you go. was reading a little bit again from the year November 93. I wrote extensively back in that Sutherland Avenue bedroom, and it's kind of cringy reading a lot of the early stuff on it. When I write just about my predicament and my situation, it's interesting, bleak and interesting. But when I was reading a lot of Nietzsche at the time, kind of understandably, because I'd actually only been introduced to him perhaps a year or two earlier, so he was still relatively new. And I was trying to write like him. I was trying to write in this very kind of elevated language of giving myself all this importance and how brilliant I was, or am. And it's dreadful. Just awful. Tuco, hurry up. Yeah, it's really... There's not a lot of things I wouldn't want people to see that I've written. I've put all the stuff online. I'd be quite willing to publish a book about all the terrible things happening during the drinking years, but I'd almost draw the line on this stuff, because it's really terrible. There's lots of stuff like, there is nobody around with my sensitivity. What I do here is very important. You simple men wouldn't understand a complex being like me. It's all this kind of fucking awful nonsense. The only thing would get me through showing it to someone is if I were to say, I was smoking my brains out at the time and I was tripping off my head, but I know I wasn't. I was lying in bed. A lot of stuff was written at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it is the influence of the Nietzsche book, whatever I was reading. It got me into somehow, because Nietzsche's he can make you feel very good about yourself. That there's a great difference between one human being and the other. And following him, he would open the door to just this feeling of being very powerful. And it kind of got to my head in some of the writings. I'm not sure what the intention was. But it's strange. There's a lot of stuff. I've lived long enough to be able to look back on the young part of myself with a kind of objectiveness, and sometimes you kind of, it's like a completely different person that you don't really know, and yet you do, because you remember around those times, and you think, isn't it so strange that I was like that I was in that situation I couldn't get out of, although that's understandable. And I went to this drama school for 2 years that was like a form of torture, paying an enormous amount of money. My mother was paying. And I didn't pull the plug earlier. And I didn't really enjoy any of it. I don't know what I thought acting was going to be like. If I didn't really like... I guess I did like some of the stuff. I liked the groove and stuff. I liked when if you just did something which was comprehensible and simple, and you just had to learn a few lines, and then that was different. But yeah, it's great to have written material, though, because if I didn't have that, there's no other means of going back in time. There's just some photographs, but photographs are not good at all to give you an idea of the mindset and some of the details from the time. Very interesting to see the amount I was earning from the social security. It's very interesting to see the rent or how much things cost, stuff like that. And also the relationship with Claudia, because that would have faded so much. I think I wouldn't have remembered that. I may have even forgotten that she was very much involved at that time with me. She was coming over. I was borrowing money from her, for instance. I would have completely forgotten about that. But I'm reading through it again. It's kind of difficult. It's difficult to get through pages of this kind of type of writing. I have 7 files again. I may upload these. Keep going with this. And now when I make files, I try and put down a little bit of what's going on during the day. Shall we go back, Tuco? Ali! Let's go back. You hear a dog in the distance. Let's go. I don't know who it is. I don't want to look. It's hardly Eve and Pastis. I don't think they go for 2 walks. What was I saying? Yeah, when I'm doing the files now, I try and put in some details of this time, because I think that's might be of interest in the future. So the Trump crypto coin, that might be interesting in the future. It's dropped down to, I would imagine at the moment it's $30. It was 70. I bought it at about 64. What can I say? It seemed like nothing could stop it from doubling, at least for a day or two. But in that business, you really can't be sure of anything. And it's funny how a lot of guys online seem to be completely aware of what was going to happen with that. If I'd done a little bit of research, in fact, I think if I'd looked at 1 or 2 videos just, and someone had said, this is going to be the greatest rug pull, this is just the money will go, this is a joke, blah, blah, I wouldn't have invested. But I invested without looking at anything. I just saw the thing going up, and anyway. So that's where it is. At the moment, there is a drop in the crypto market. Some think it's because Trump didn't have any great ideas when he was doing his speech. He didn't say we're going to do this and that. In fact, he didn't say much of anything about crypto. So there's a 7% drop in a lot of things at the moment. Bitcoin has gone from around 104,000 euros, which is incredible, down to 99,000 euros, which is still very good. ADA is 95 cents, and again a few days ago it was up to about €1.07. Can't complain really. Chainlink, Solana especially, they've all made quite a lot of ground. And if you think of our investment of around 56, well, it's worth, as I speak here, probably altogether, probably 106, which is, how much of a profit is that? 40? No, it's about a profit of 50,000 profit. It's kind of nearly double the investment, which is good. But who knows what that's going to be in a month or a year. but that's where it stands at the moment. I am using my new, what make is it, Olive cassette recorder. I did my debut recording today as we were looking through my Indeed job offers on the laptop. I was at the same time recording late date from Monday/Tuesday. I haven't listened to the recording yet. I recorded on an old Agfa cassette from the 1980s, so maybe not the best tape to start with, because I don't know what the quality will be like. I just want to see, is it stereo, and is it decent? I'm still going to miss my Iowa one, because I think the quality on that one was fantastic. And I know that you can get better quality from better machines. Some of the blank tapes I have that I got from the Bon Quat, the quality of some of the recordings is excellent. And you know that they've been done on very, very high-end machines. What else is there to say? I'm driving Mick on Friday. No, I'm not actually. Flo's going to Maraval Friday, so she needs the car. So she agreed to take Mick to Cadarache first and then head off to Maraval. So Friday, Saturday, I think she'll be back Sunday. I could have the weekend to myself. It's funny, the anticipation of the weekend. I always love the idea, but then after a day or two, what are you doing, Tuco? Ali. After a day or two, I'm really happy that Flo's coming back, and sometimes I count down the hours that she's coming back. It's probably this kind of, in a way, it's like retirement. You look forward to it, and then when it arrives, you realize, or you kind of ask yourself, what exactly was I looking forward to? It's the same having the weekend to myself. I know, I mean, there's this thing about not having to get up to walk Tuco, which is nice. And it's nice not to have to get up at all to do anything. I mean, to be able to just take the day really at your leisure. But in saying that, I will get up at around 10. I always kind of do. In fact, sometimes I get up earlier when Flo's not there than when she is there, because she's doing yoga and stuff. And then what? I'll walk to the Connemara, come back, cook, go to bed. It's kind of an illusion, this sense of, oh, I'm going to be on my own, great. It's a strange kind of concept. I think we do it all the time. I can't wait to get on holidays. I don't do that, to be honest, but people do. Can't wait to get on holidays, and then they're there and they're trying to sleep in the hotel bedroom or whatever. And they don't feel any different, and then after being on holidays for 3 days, they're thinking, I can't wait to get home. "2025. The field is brown, big chunks of clay on one side, our side, near the front of the house. And on the other side, doesn't look like there's anything growing either. I'm very into Voyager at the moment. I guess that's something that's kind of going to be interesting, because that's obviously, it's a temporary thing, you know. It's like Frasier or anything else. It's like Mad Men, it's like Deadwood. It's something that's going to come and go. And once I've been through all the episodes, it's highly unlikely I'll go back to watch any of them again. You know? But at the moment we're there, I'm really enjoying spending time with the crew of the Starship Voyager. That's why TV is good. When you get into something and it is such a nice. Star Trek was always like that for me. It was a great escape into a nice, tidy, organized world where sometimes the stories are very odd and very intriguing. But maybe Frasier was a bit the same. It's the world of Frasier, the tidiness of the apartment, how it was nice to be in company with those characters, and Friends was the same. To spend time with those people. So Voyager is the same thing. I may try and get into old Picard. I know there's an awful lot of those episodes I haven't seen. Perhaps I know the characters, I know them all somewhat, but perhaps I can see how that goes. Start watching that. Anyway, I got Patrice coming with Ozana. I'm halfway down the path, so I'm going to sign off at 21 minutes. That is the day today, on this day, 21st of January 2025. Adios.